Hey, what's up everybody? ESAM here bringing you another video. This one going to be an ESAM opinions video about the first parts of the PGR. So I am fortunate enough, since I'm on Panda Global, and Panda Global is the one that kind of like helps the stats team be a thing. Obviously it's PG stats. I got the PGR list early, and so I am able to do some very soon after release videos on the PGR that has just released, the PGR V3. So this episode, I'm going to be going over the Area 51 members, which was released today when recording, so yesterday, which is the 51 through 55, and then going to be over the 41 through 50, which is going to be the first release of the PGR, like the first official release coming on Tuesday, or I guess earlier today. And so the 5 players that didn't quite make it on the list were Shoyo James, K9, Tyrant, Trella, and Wrath, going from 55 up to 51, so Wrath being the closest member to being on the PGR V3. So all 5 of those players, honestly, very impressive. James has had such a close run with a lot of top players, and he's even won a lot. I mean, in the Area 51 it mentions that he beat like Captain Zach and Elegant and all these different players. He's actually an amazing player. He is a very composed player. He doesn't really start flubbing very often. Like, I think him and Larry got kind of sloppy at the end, but that, you know, game 5 last day versus a top 10 player, it happens. Honestly, if he got that win, he probably would have been on the PGR, because that's a big time win, considering Larry gonna be top 10. Like, that's not really a spoiler, like Larry's a top 10 player, right? So that's really impressive. K9, you know, he did kind of fall off after the beginning of the season. He did really well at the beginning, but then slowly started doing like slightly worse and worse at events. Still a really talented player, obviously. His Diddy Kong and Sheik, really scary. You know, he puts a lot of emotion to this game, and when his emotions are working in his favor, he is absolutely frightening. It is not fun to play against that guy when he is just hitting all of his right buttons, because sometimes it just happens and he just beats anyone he wants. Tyrant is one of the players I honestly respect the most out of just anyone in the world. He has been a long-time rival of mine, super top brawl player. We have a pretty big rivalry. We're both named Eric, opposite coasts, our set count's really close to each other. I respect Tyrant a lot, but you know, at a lot of the big events, he would do like okay, which is not good enough to be on the PGR. He'd get like 33rd, 49th, 65th, maybe occasionally like a 25th. He's a really, really talented player. He gets bad bracket luck kind of often, or it's like, oh, I don't really want to play this person. Oops, I played them, and lose just because they got upset. That happens to him a decent amount, so it kind of makes sense that he's not on the PGR, but he's definitely a talented player. I'm pretty sure even if he's not PGR'd this season, like people will still see him in bracket and go, oh damn it, I have to play Tyrant. Like, that doesn't really make him a worse player, you know? Trella obviously didn't go to that many events this season, even though he's obviously an amazing player. Everyone knows that, you know, one of the legendary Ryu gods in this game, but his inactivity really hurt him, because activity counts a lot towards the PGR. And then obviously Wrath, very, very close. He just beat me at CEO, but he's an amazing player. His mindset towards the game is incredible, considering when I was that young, like, I still press buttons, and I'm like an older person, I kind of got more patience. But back in the day, all I did was press buttons, so it amazes me that this 16-year-old, 17-year-old kid can just time people out like from the get-go. Like, that's his plan. Like, that's crazy. I respect it a lot. A lot of people don't, but you know, that just means you're a loser, because you should totally respect someone who's doing something to win, even if it's not that entertaining. So that's the Area 51. Honestly, a bunch of players that are just scary. Trella's probably not going to be playing that much anymore. You'll see a lot of the other ones more so as, you know, the next season progresses. Obviously going to be big tournament threats. I think of all those people, I think I would say the 2 that are going to be most likely to be on the next PGR would be Tyrant and James, because James has, like, he's just been getting better and better, and there's no sign of him slowing down. And then Tyrant, if he just gets like a slightly better bracket, I feel like he'll start doing like better at events, you know, getting those placements that are like 13th, 17th, that can really help you, especially at like big events like S tiers like Civil War, Genesis, etc., etc. So now we can get into the actual list. And so the 50 through 41, obviously this was released a few hours ago, so you guys probably already know what the list is, and if you don't, please go check out the PGR official video. It's going to be the first thing in the description down below. Go watch that video, show that support, you know, more than me, because like I'm just talking about my opinion on it. Like, I wasn't involved in the PG stats, or rather in PG stats at all. I wasn't involved in the PGR, I wasn't involved in making it. This is just, I have the information early, I want to talk about my opinion, because the PGR is extremely important in terms of implications for the overall community. So anyway, let us continue. The top 50, 50 through 41, number 50, Foe, and then going up would be Choko, JK, Edge, Wadi, AC at 45, Javi, Neotono, Nakat, and Scat. So all of these pretty much make sense. Foe, actually a legend. He, in my opinion, is like skill-wise a top 20 player. Like I always considered Fo about as good as me, whether like both at the beginning, you know, in the middle when we were both kind of dropping off because he wasn't going too much and I fell off, and then now I think we're both very, very strong players. He has a crazy amount of good wins. You know, his runs at Civil War was his run at Civil War was impressive. His run at, what was the last one? Nairo Saga was really impressive, beating a lot of top players, but it hurt him because the way the PGR is working, so just so you guys know, 50% of it is your placements at tournaments and 50% are the people that you beat. So you get the placement score for like, oh, you got 17th at an S tier, that's this amount of points. So you got 5th at an A tier, that's, you know, this many points. So your top 6 tournaments that like would give you the most points count full. So whatever those are, you know, obviously they have to be C tier above because that's just how the PGR works, and things that aren't on the tiered system don't, you know, they don't count for the PGR. So if you didn't have 6 really good tournaments, your score was just automatically lower than someone that did kind of okay at multiple more events. And then after those 6, you know, it drops off heavily in terms of how much the points matter, because it doesn't want to reward people for going to every single event and getting 33rd just to like slowly boost their score. Like they don't really want that, so they have your 6 main ones, which is like a good amount, 1 a month, right? Because it's a 6-month period. So 1 a month in theory, there's going to be a big tournament, and so you go, and whether it's S, A, or B, whatever gives you the most points, that's what's going to happen. And then you have your win score, and I don't think, honestly, Fo went to 6 big tournaments like at all. So he had a really low set score, or in terms of placement score, but his set counts were amazing. He beat a top 10 player, he beat someone that's been doing amazingly this season in terms of Locust, he beat, well, who was the other player? He had a lot of wins in like the 4 tournaments he went to. He's an amazing player, super strong. I think if he keeps going to tournaments, he will eventually rise back up to where it was in the first one, which was like top 15, top 20, you know, maybe like 25, just because the level of competition in this game is crazy right now. He is an amazing, amazing player, and I honestly hope he comes out more. I hate Ness, but he is just so much fun to watch. It's great. Next is going to be the lowest Japanese representative, which is going to be Choko. And Choko, I guess based on results, third best Zero Suit under Nairo and Mars, because that's no surprise they're going to be higher up there. So Choko, again, one of like a really weird style, a very slow style, especially compared to Nairo and Mars, which are like very like, I'm going to hit you and I'm going to do stuff. But Choko's very like, okay, walk forward, suddenly dash grab, or things like that. Like his speed is very unexpected because he's more about precision and he's more about timing his hits correctly, as opposed to just like, I'm gonna throw out everything and hope you get hit by something and then convert from it, which is more like the Nairo Mars style. You know, I don't really know his placements that well or who he beats in Japan, but you know, he has come back because he quit for a while, or he at least really had really poor results. So he's been on a resurgence again. He's been doing pretty well, so I'm glad that, you know, he's there. There's a lot of Japanese representation on the list, and that's not even a spoiler. Swar literally tweeted like, oh, 15% of the PGR is from Japan. Sorry, 30%. If there's 50 people, then that means 2% of the list equals 1 person. And he said that there's 30% of the list is Japan, so that means at least 15 people, which I'm really happy about, because that means that the Japan tournaments will have even more weight, and then, you know, we can see more results from Japan as opposed to it being a very US-centric system, which I mean, it kind of will be anyway, just because that's where the most top players live. But I'm really glad that Japan is getting a lot of things, especially, you know, even at this lower level in 49 in Choko. Again, really happy to see a bunch of the Japan players really high on this list. Number 48 is JK. So this is actually kind of cool because now there's 2 Vegas representatives on the PGR. Obviously they're both very low, so unfortunately like events in Vegas that aren't EVO might not necessarily be, you know, ranked on the PGR tier system because they think they're going to be redoing it. But it's still pretty nice to see them. You know, JK, really strong beginning of the season, got top 8 at Genesis Saga. You know, he always gets like select wins here and there at all these big events. You know, really solid player, one of the better Bayonetas for sure. You know, I don't think, like, a lot of people don't like him because he's very upfront and very forward and very like abrasive in kind of his personality, but I like the kid because it reminds me of me when I was younger, because I was kind of a shit when I was younger too, so that makes sense to me. But he's really good. I respect him a lot. He's a pretty good player, but you know, still room to grow. Obviously top 50, hell of an accomplishment, but you know, compared to the Bayos that are higher up on this list, definitely still a resident sleeper compared to them, or at least in terms of his skill. Pretty good player, but he has a lot of room to grow, and hopefully, you know, if Fo just keeps playing, then he has like, there's at least 2 people in that region that can really like start bringing Vegas back into the limelight. Maybe coach some other players. Z, I miss you. Please get better. I wanna see you in the top. You're so much fun to watch. Pika buddies. 47 going to be Edge. So Edge, back in the day, I don't know if you guys know this, if you guys are like new Smash 4 people, but he was the player in Japan for a very long time. It was him and Renai. His Sheik was a work of art. It was one of the best Sheiks in the world. He wasn't able to travel to the US to prove it because we had a lot more exposure of like Mr. R and, you know, Vinny at the time and False and, you know, at some point Void started coming into that mix, but Edge was the OG, or one of the OG, like really strong Sheiks from Japan. You know, he quit for a while, came back, now he's a Diddy main, but you know, I love the fact that he's back into the game and doing really well, even if it is with a new character. Really strong player, just started, you know, I think playing again like the last 3 or 4 months. You know, he had his Greninja Saga run where he got 13th, I think, losing to Nikat, but just a really impressive player overall, and I'm really glad that he's back. Hopefully he can play. Shut up, cat. Kitty came back, he was meowing. Hello, Kitty. He's gonna be in my lap again. So, you know, Edge, I'm glad he's back. Hopefully I can see the Sheik more, because I love that Sheik, and even though Sheik is drastically different from pre-patch, you know, I think he can still do well with the character. So that and Diddy, you know, again, PGR, more Japan, as I mentioned, so I'm really happy about that. So next, at number, I believe, 46, Wadi. So Wadi is a person, I respect the hell out of Wadi. He's an amazing player, but he went to like 3 big events, which was Civil War, where he kind of got bodied because he lost to MBD, and then Larry Lure because Larry Lure got upset by Foe, and then he went, and then like he won Glitch beating Captain Zack, and then he went to like one other big event, and I don't remember what it was, but like he just didn't go to a lot. So similar to Foe, his set score, or rather his tournament score, like the placement score, really low, just because he didn't, like, I remember when I was doing my list at my opinions, you know, I put him at 31, and I was like, he might be lower than this because he really didn't go to anything, but like he was just in the tier that I put him. Like, he's a really good player, so maybe he'll just be up here, but like looking at like who he beat this season, and you know how many tournaments he went to that were like on the PGR tier scale, like he really didn't do pretty much anything. So I'm surprised he's on the list in the first place, thinking about it more. But you know, obviously huge amount of room to grow. He was like top 25 last season. He's an amazing player. If he goes to more, he will be doing really well, obviously, as this next season commences. So next up at 45, we have AC, the Falco Meta Knight main from, I think, San Diego. So he just had a crazy season this year. Obviously beat Leo at Civil War, top 8 at Genesis Saga. Those are the 2 results I really remember. But he's been a persistent threat in SoCal for this whole season, been really obnoxious in terms of like he'll just get randomly set wins. So I mean, good stuff to him. You know, I don't really have an opinion on him as a player. I haven't watched him enough, to be honest. Almost beat Abadongo at Civil War. So again, I haven't really watched him that much, so I don't exactly have an opinion on him as a player. But I mean, obviously been doing well. His results show at 45, that's pretty good. Obviously has the luxury of, he lives in SoCal, so he can go to every single saga and get like mediocre results or higher, you know, so just a bunch of A tier events, which is kind of fortunate because SoCal, you know, obviously has the most A and S tier events, because I think there was one a month, right? So there was 5 A tier events, or sorry, 4 A tier events and 2 S tier events in SoCal by itself, just at the esports arena. So that kind of helped a lot of players from SoCal really get acknowledged, because I mean, AC is a really good player, but I think that helped him a lot because he didn't have to travel everywhere. But yeah, definitely a strong player. Again, lowest member in SoCal, you know, there's going to be a bunch more people on this list, just keep a lookout. And yeah, I mean, just strong player. I wonder where he's going to go in this next season, because again, don't really have an opinion on his play, haven't watched him enough. Up next, 44, we have Javi, one of the best Mexican players in the world. I honestly expected him to be higher on this list. I think in my list he was going to be like the next tier after what I covered, which was top 31. So I thought he was going to be closer to like the 36 range. Really strong. Obviously an amazing doubles player. Him and Leo win pretty much everything they enter. They're great players. Javi, strong, Cloud, and Sheik. I think the fact that he did really poorly at CEO didn't necessarily hurt him, because you can't get a negative score from a tournament. But it definitely, if he got like maybe like 25th or 17th, it would have helped him, I feel like, a lot, because you know, he lost really early to Kool-Aid, and then like round 1 of losers of day 2 or day 3, whatever, to Mute Ace, the Peach player from South Florida. Because let's go Mute, because Mute really knows Peach and Sheik and Cloud very well. So I was really happy for Mutus for that. But anyway, Javi, really strong player. I played him a lot at Genesis House. Really just strong player. You know, he's definitely on the come up. He keeps getting better and better, but I feel like people are also at the same time figuring out Cloud and figuring out Sheik. So, you know, he's getting better, and the meta is like getting better against his character. So it's kind of like evening out. I think he'll next season go up probably to like 35 or 30, somewhere around that area, because that's where I expected him to be this time. But you know, definitely really strong player. I respect him a lot, and you know, he obviously has so much good practice because the Mexican Smash scene is really strong, even though all of them aren't able to come out all the time because it's expensive and things like that. But you know, hopefully we see more of him. Hopefully we see more of the Mexican scene, so you know, we can see really where they stack up you know, against everyone in the US and everyone in Japan, because we've only had very few of those, you know, experiences together. After that, we have Nietono. So Nietono, in my opinion, you know, he just goes through a character crisis. He plays Sheik at the beginning, you know, when Sheik was busted pre-patch, and he did really well. Then when Sheik got nerfed, he picked up Diddy. In my opinion, his Diddy was very mediocre. Not as, like, it wasn't showing how good he was as a player, because his Diddy just didn't really do anything, you know, crazy. Like, he's a really smart player, but his Diddy just wasn't showing that, because it's just a bunch of 50-50s over and over again in neutral, and he would guess wrong a lot, in my opinion. I wasn't really impressed with his Diddy, but more recently, he started picking up Sheik again. He uses Diddy for certain matchups, which is fine, because sometimes Diddy just raffle stomps matchups, but he goes Sheik a lot more now, and he's able to get more bracket wins, so I'm a fan of his Sheik. I wish he played Fox. His Fox is busted, but he doesn't really play that much in tournament. But yeah, I'm really glad that his Sheik has started doing better again. You know, put him pretty low on the list. I think he's a better player than the number shows. But again, character crisis, now he picked up Sheik, he's doing better again, so I think he will rise on the next list. It's kind of scary, because like almost every person that I've said is like, they're gonna rise on the next list, but there's only so many spots, and what's gonna happen? Everyone above him is gonna like drop off. Like, it's so scary. There's so many stacked people. Okay, you're getting playful, so I'm gonna kick you out of my room now. And so I just hope he sticks with the Sheik, and you know, maybe plays Fox in tournament, and hopefully his results can keep improving, or keep at least at the pace they're at. Because again, he had a really weak beginning of the season, so I think if he keeps playing Sheik, he will do better and probably go closer to like at least like the low 30s, like the 37 type area. I think that's where he should at least be. Like, a really smart player, amazing player. At 42, we have Nakat, and honestly, memes aside, I was very surprised Nakat was on this list, because he got 9th at Greninja Saga. His placements, like, I think he got like 25th or 33rd at Genesis, and he only really beat 2 people that were on the last PGR, which was NVD and Kamame. So I'm honestly surprised that he got points to like get on, especially not at like the very, very lower end of the 40s. Like, again, I think Nakat is a great player. He always goes game 5 like last hit, or game 3 last hit with a bunch of top players. Typically doesn't clutch it out, which is unfortunate for him. You know, he would have had like a much more impressive resume if he can just clutch those out. But I'm honestly just surprised that with those 2 wins, and I feel like he didn't do like amazing at many of the big events. I mean, maybe I'm just wrong. Like, I obviously don't have the placings on all that at the top of my head. I think Nakat is a really strong player. I think there's something about his mentality that's holding him back. I don't know what it is, but like, I play him in friendlies and I play him in tournament, and they're just like 2 completely different beasts. I don't really know why. But, you know, I love Nakat as a person, I love Nakat as a player. He can be so good, but there's something inside of him, I feel like, holding him back. You know, very, you know, fitting, because Naruto, right? So like, he has the fox inside of him. He needs to like tap into that inner chakra and just be able to, you know, do better, because I know he's capable of better, but still I'm surprised he's on the list, considering his like lack of achievements this season. I mean, he wasn't even really able to travel that much because he had some health issues. You know, he constantly goes between Ohio and SoCal, which is like really tiring, because I know I hate traveling. Like, at some point it just gets really tiring. Like, I'll still go, but like the act of traveling is very tiring, so I can't imagine having to not only travel to tournaments, but then travel to and from 2 different houses. Like, that seems really stressful. So I really hope Nakat's able to like get over whatever demon is inside of him and just start producing amazing results, like the 2 things that he did this season, because I'm sure he's capable of it, but he really needs to show consistency, because everyone knows that his peak is pretty high, but we still need to see the consistency from Nakat in order for him to, you know, come into like a top 40, top 30 player, which I'm pretty sure everyone thinks he's capable of. Which actually, that's surprising, because his X Factor is actually a -4, so that's really, really surprising for me, because I thought he would be way higher in terms of like people's opinions, but I guess not. I'm surprised. And last, but certainly not least, obviously as we're going up, is going to be Scat, the Georgia Mega Man main. So he's just first off, love the guy. I got to hang out with him a decent amount when I went to Clemson, because if I ever went to a Georgia tournament, I'd be able to see him and hang out with him. Same for Fatality. You know, I love that scene. They're all like really talented players, at least like the top echelon of them. So Scat had a pretty slow start this season because he's focusing more on school during the year, but then like the last like month and a half had just a bunch of good results. He got, what was it, 9th at Naruto Saga. He did pretty well at CEO as far as I remember. Just a really impressive player overall, you know, got a lot of good wins. I think he beat Samsora or something like that. Like, I know Scat's capable of a lot. He obviously beat DeBuzz last year at SmashCon, but that doesn't count for this PGR, but just he's a player that is capable of a whole lot. I'm glad he's still on the PGR because due to his relative inactivity during the season. I think he went to Civil War. I know he lost to Kamame in Sheik Mega Man, or like one game of the Ditto. I don't remember who else he beat or lost to at that tournament. Either way, really, really strong player. I think this is going to be a about where he's going to land, like regardless, like even over the summer, just because, again, the summer a bunch more people are going to be able to show up, the younger players are going to be able to travel more, you know, besides like the captain Zach, let's say, who he goes everywhere, but you know, the younger players are going to be traveling more. I feel like Foe is going to be traveling more. Everyone's going to be super tryharding for this part of the summer with, you know, Evo, obviously, July Saga, August Saga, SmashCon, Shine, all of those tournaments. I feel like a lot of people are going to be going to them before the school year starts, and Scat, you know, he can keep up for sure, but I feel like the lack of a secondary really hurts him because the meta is kind of evolving into a way that beats Mega Man, I feel like, because obviously Sheik beats Mega Man. I feel like Bayo does pretty well, as well as Cloud. You know, Clouds are learning the matchup, although he has historically had a lot of success versus Clouds, which I'm really impressed at, but a lot of people have like Pocket Sheiks, or, you know, I know Pikachu does really well in the matchup, but that's fairly irrelevant because it's like just mean, even though I think a few like mid-top level players are picking up Pikachu, more so like for Cloud or something, but it can also work versus Mega Man. You know, really smart player, excellent coach. He helped Fatality do so well at Civil War and at Momocon. You know, just a really strong player. I'm glad he's on the PGR. I think this is going to be about where he lands like throughout, regardless of which season, just because he's a really strong player, but it's not his main priority because school is, as well as the fact that there are just so many players, and Mega Man has a rough time considering that he loses like several matchups in the top tier in my opinion, so kind of hurts him. And yeah, that is going to be about it for this one. I hope you all enjoyed. I will be releasing one of these for every single iteration of the PGR that comes out, or in terms of like every video that's released for the PGR soon after them, like a few hours, so they can get their attention, and then I can like redirect traffic to them as well. You know, what are your opinions on the PGR so far? What do you guys think? You know, if should someone be higher or lower? Like, where do you expect? Do you agree with my opinion? Do you disagree with my opinion? Am I wrong? Am I an idiot? Am I a stupid dumb quesadilla? Just let me know in the comments. As always, social media, Panda, and partner stuff is down below, and I will see you all next time. Bye.